Okay, do nice guys finish last? My answer to that is definitely no. Nice guys don't finish last. Pushovers might finish last, being a pushover, but not being a nice guy. There's a difference between being a pushover and being nice. Just because you nice, just because you respectful, just because you stand true to who you are, right, don't make you a pushover. Now let me say this too, and I know some fellas watching this video might disagree with what I'm saying initially, but hear me out. I don't believe, for the most part, no woman don't want to be treated nice. I know, cause look, you got this thing, right, where people say women like the bad boy, right? So some would say if women like bad boys, how could you then say that they want to be treated nicely? First, let me say this. When someone say, oh, he's a nice guy, he's a nice guy, he's not a nice guy, he's not a nice guy. First of all, that's left up to interpretation, right? The word nice have a set definition, but people's perspective, how they was raised, what they used to being around or whatever, that can affect their interpretation of what the definition of nice is. So nice can look differently to different people. But whatever version of nice a woman have, they want somebody who they're going to be with to treat them like that. No one really don't want to be consistently treated in a way that they consider not to be nice. It wouldn't even make sense to be in a relationship. Now let's talk about the bad boy thing for a quick second, right? Women respect masculinity, right? And sometimes this is the thing about that bad boy thing. Sometimes those bad boy behavior, that bad boy persona, women mistake that for masculinity. If a female goes for the bad boy or is dating a bad boy, look, and I'm not going to say in certain instances what could be considered to be deemed a bad boy. Some females wouldn't want that person or wouldn't pursue that person. But if they do deal with that person and they have to deal with bad boy behavior or bad boy mistreatment or bad boy disrespect, that same female who goes for the bad boy, or who men would say wants the bad boy, they would complain about that behavior. What are we talking about? Somebody who's just a hardcore gangster street dude? We talking about somebody who womanizing and just keep dogging this woman out, keep cheating on her? Or we talking about somebody who put their hands on a woman, somebody who just talk to their woman like a dog? What are we talking about? But bottom line, whichever one of them you are talking about, whenever the disrespect come in that, in whatever form that is, whenever the mistreatment come in whatever form that is, the woman will be displeased with that. She might go vent to her girlfriends. She might complain to the bad boy that she in a relationship with. So when she start getting these bad boy behaviors and having to deal with the consequences of the bad boy action, if she enjoyed it so much, why would there be complaints about it? You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying, when you really get down to it at the core, even that girl, that woman, wants to be treated nicely. Now, on the flip side of that, right, let's talk about the fellas, the men, us, and, some fellas being the bad boys, so to speak, right? Let me say this, right? You're in the bad boy mode. First of all, it's not something that you think is good, if we honestly speaking, because if your daughter brought one home and she put you to the side and say, Daddy, this the bad, I know he a bad boy, this and that, and you saw those traits of him being a bad boy, do you think I should date him? If she asked you that, you would tell your daughter, who you care about and love, no. So we already, we know that deep down, you don't really think that that's good for a woman to, be dealing with that type of dude, right? A woman that you would really love, your daughter, right? If you don't want that for her, like I said, that that's not a good thing. So you need to ask yourself a question, because I know some dudes would probably say, that's what they want, shoot, you got to be a bad boy, that's what they want. Like I said, but they don't want. Since you don't want it for your daughter, that's not what she needs. So the question is, if you know this is not a good thing, you won't want this done to your daughter, you know this is not what she needs, why would you, as the man, as the leader, conform to something that they so-called want when you know it's not something as the leader, as the man, that woman even need, or that any woman need, right? Why are you compromising your manhood? Why are you compromising yourself as a man sexually and romantically to conform to what a woman want if she wants a so-called bad boy? That's the real question you should ask yourself. And like I said, a big part of it is because now you got some people operating in the bad boy mode strictly off it being so socially cool and accepted and just like etched in our everyday social norm now. You know, just something simple as when people greeting somebody, they say, "Oh, what's up, player? What up, pimpin'? I see you big pimpin'." Just something as simple as the fact that is just normal everyday greeting now. It second nature, not even thinking about it. Somebody can get greeted like that. Let you know how far along, how distorted things has become when we dealing with each other sexually and romantically. Because all those players, pimps, big pimping, all those is negative, destructive things sexually and romantically. So if it got to the point where that can just be the normal greeting at times, or you get celebrated for it, it lets you already know you already in a social climate, in a culture of that's already in dysfunction, right? And you know, it's conducive to having a bad boy culture. Just men, believe it or not, you really naturally at the core don't want to be a bad boy. You're not even meant to be one, naturally speaking. Now, once social factors start kicking in, somebody, you know, you might have been a victim of a woman who might have done wrong by you and you was doing right by her, or just generally speaking, already being in a social climate that glamorize, glorify, celebrate bad boy culture. Now, if you ain't ever been groomed a certain way, sexually and emotionally, and you just in this culture, and you just going along with the flow of the culture, what it's gonna produce? Because ain't none of those things good. Pimping, being a player, ain't none of that good. Now you already probably believe it's good because of the social climate that you live in. You go with the flow of it, and you never was intentional and purposeful about the sex drive and romance. That's why. But it's not. You know why? Because the results of it ain't good, like I talk about in other videos, like dating wars. Yeah, that's not naturally what who you're supposed to be. Yeah. Were you supposed to be a good man and then get burned by that woman? No, she wasn't operating how she's supposed to be operating, right? And if you a dude and you burning a woman, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Is that supposed to be happening? Is heartbreak really supposed to be happening? Is having another man being around your kid because you got somebody pregnant that you're not with supposed to be happening? Is that really supposed to be happening? Is she not letting you see your kid really supposed to be happening? Is she taking your money out of spite from child support really supposed to be happening? But all that is part of pimp player culture normalization. If when you can do that, when you can say, "What up, player? I see you big pimping." If it can become that normal, like I said, why wouldn't you think all that stuff that I just named that's not supposed to happen, not going? That's already helped make that normal. The fact that was already normalized and being done and being and you know, being just the regular norm in the social climate that you live in, now allows you to say, "I see you big pimping. All right, player." You don't think a woman should really sleep around, right? And if a woman shouldn't sleep around, right? But I ain't talking about once you got socially engineered into doing it. Well, I'm talking about it from a natural point of view. You don't think women should be sleeping around. But if women shouldn't be sleeping around, that mean they doing it with several men. So how would it be okay for how would it be okay for a man to create what you would call a thought if the woman not supposed to be a thought? She have to sleep with men to be a thought. So if she's not supposed to be sleeping around, then she gonna sleep with men to be a thought, and what you would say she shouldn't be doing. Why shouldn't men be sleeping with her? Men help create thoughts and then complain about a thought. It ain't right. It ain't natural. It's not supposed to be. No matter what nobody say, right? All these trends and videos and stuff that people make cool and acceptable that's really destructive, so sexually and emotionally. No, you're trying to go against what's really already supposed to be, and it's a loss. You're going, society gonna keep bumping its head if you keep trying to do that. Let me say this: if you got unhealed trauma, let's say you wasn't what is considered to be a bad boy, right? You wasn't a player. You wasn't like, just beating up your woman or disrespecting or mistreating your woman verbally or whatever, right? You was doing you was doing right by a woman, right? Or somebody who was doing right by a woman, and that woman burned him. That woman cheated on him or did him bad, took his money, giving it to another dude. Betrayed him, did him bad. And that man, and that man, or you was that man, was just doing the right thing, right? You still can't let that compromise who you supposed to be as a man, as a leader, when it comes to dealing with people sexually and romantically. Still, right? You still have to heal from that trauma. And look, this just not sex and romance related, but we are talking about sex and romance in life. Unhealed trauma, unresolved trauma, dealing with it the wrong way. A lot of times, the wrong way is it didn't really get dealt with at all. There was no real resolution. There was no healing from it. And you still dealing in an area where the trauma was caused, and now you just operating out of pure vengeance or spite, or just out of anger, or really just in defense mode. Shoot, ain't nobody gonna break my heart. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me. And you may be behaving that way for reasons that was what you like I said, you had good intent when you was doing right by somebody, right? So don't get caught up in feeling justified. I talk about that in a video on my other channel, see the invisible stuff. I got a video called Feeling Justified. It's not about relationships, it's just generally speaking. A lot of times when we feel justified about something, we sit in just feeling, knowing that we may have a good point about something. And that's all that matters. Feeling justified. Well, I ain't do nothing wrong. Well, somebody did this to me. That make you feel justified. But just because you may have a legitimate reason to feel the way you feel does not mean that you have a right. It doesn't mean that you should go about handling a situation any way you feel like it. Right? Because if you do, you got to just hope you're doing the right thing when you're doing anything you feel like it. You need to be intentional. You need to be purposeful about how you go about dealing with women, go about sex, go about romance. You still need to do that despite it's not diminishing what happened to you. But you just saying, I'm not going to let what happened to me make me become what I like to call an emotional terrorist, a sexual terrorist. Because it ain't good for you. It ain't good for the woman. It ain't good for nobody. It ain't good for no kids that end up getting involved or nothing. And that's all they do is just thicken the bad boy culture that's already strong in the society that we live in anyway.